Welcome to another episode of Anime Splash. I'm Neil Trotter.
I'm Ricky Morris.
In Anime Splash, what we do is we watch the first 3 episodes of anime, and based off of only those first 3 episodes do we decide whether or not we want to continue watching the whole series or just stop watching it altogether. So is it a review show or a preview show? Not really. What it really is just a basic discussion about anime in general. And we use a TV show, a particular anime series, to kind of use it as a tool to discuss about anime in general. And that's what it is pretty much. So in this particular episode, we're talking about, Kakumeiki Valvrave, or the English is
Valvrave the Liberator, or something like that,
yeah, Valvrave the Liberator.
yeah. There's like a portion where there should be a vowel, but there isn't, so it's really hard to pronounce. But
Yeah, I know LV is, you can't pronounce that in Japanese. I know that for sure, because they have to just use the English language for it. But anyway, we're gonna go with the plot breakdown first with Ricky.
So this anime takes place in an unspecified date in the future, where about 70% of humanity has, started living in space, and they've created this Dyson sphere, which is like this sphere of colonies around the sun, and most of humanity lives there. And you have like these, and there's like only 2 nations, Dacia and the URSA, which is basically Russia and America basically. And and you also have this neutral nation of JOIR. And this story centers around this normal high school kid named Haruto. And he's just living his life and whatever, and all of a sudden Daci starts invading and attacking this where they live, the colony where they live, where the school is, and start blowing everything up, and he witnesses his love interest die, or so he thinks. And so, overcame with grief, he happens upon this giant robot, and he's like, he goes in it somehow and tries to fly it, seeking vengeance for his dead friend and everything. And, and he gets it to work by renouncing his humanity. There's this option to do that. And, he gets it to work, and it's, it flies around and stuff like that, and he chases off the enemies and stuff, and he's proclaimed a hero and everything. So, and then this other character shows up called LF, and he's like this Dacian spy, and he kills Haruto, but not really, because Haruto actually, this anime has this supernatural plot to it, and basically, Haruto has these supernatural powers where his wounds will heal, and he can switch bodies with people and stuff like that. And I don't know, they show a lot of stuff in like a single episode. So
It's true. That is the case. So let's talk about that in terms of analysis. Alright, in terms of the quality and what we and I think. So, I'm a fan of the mech shows. I love, let me be more specific about that. I don't like most Gundams except for Gundam Wing. That's the only one I love. But because of Gundam Wing, my interest for mech shows is very high. I do like watching giant robots fight each other. That is Robotech, another thing that I enjoy. So anything that has mech giant robots in it, already I'm partial to. So we can talk first about the first episode, which is basically a nice demonstration of a mech show, right? It's you know, the way it plays out is a very stereotypical mech type of beginning. And when I was watching the show, I'm like, okay, this is your basic giant robot mech show, pretty much, with the whole government, you know, at war with each other, different alliances, that whole thing, which a lot of mech shows have. And it's also got the really young hero, usually high school age level, you know, that whole typical thing you see often. Because it really set in also the robot, the giant robot, who's like this over the top crazy, super agile beam sword type of, has wings, mechanical wings on it for some reason, you know, which I like that design. I mean, a lot of people, several people think that's they don't like the impracticality of that type of design, but I like it. I think it's enjoyable. So it's got a lot of those typical mech attributes to it that I like. Yeah, so while watching it, I'm like, okay, maybe I can get into this. And all of a sudden they throw you this curveball, which is, like Ricky said, the supernatural element. Just all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, the supernatural thing just happens, and I just was kind of caught off guard by it, and it kind of threw me off. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? And then the next episode happens, and then another supernatural thing happens. It's like, okay, so it's, you know, you got the mech stuff, but you also got this whole supernatural thing going on, and I'm like, I wasn't digging that. I really wasn't. And I think that was one of my main gripes with this show, is that I don't know, this whole supernatural thing with the mech combination, I'm not really a fan of, honestly. I remember there was another show I did this too, which is very popular, called Code Geass, which I really like Gundam Wing. I love that show a lot, and some of my friends were recommending, if you like Gundam Wing, you should watch Code Geass. You definitely should watch that show. So I watched it, and I'm like, wow, this is like basically a reject version of Gundam Wing. You know, and if you want to, put some hate comments for that, that's fine. You can do that. That's how I feel, because it was like Gundam Wing, except the main character had this supernatural ability, and that was the only thing that was different. And it was like, is this necessary? So I thought, same thing with this show. It's about Valvrave the Liberator. You got a lot of and then what Ricky was talking about before we turned on the camera was that it's not really just a supernatural thing. It's just that there's a lot of stuff getting thrown in here, a lot of different mechanics for different genres thrown in here, and so it's kind of hard to get invested in the show, because you don't really know exactly, you know, if you're a fan of one genre and not a fan of the other one, you might be a little conflicted.
It's like they just kind of throw in like a lot of conveniences, you know, just to move the plot along. Like as you were saying, it was like, you know, he's like you were saying, like you know, being able to like get, like how he was able to get into the robot at all was kind of, you know, how he was able to do that, you know, without even knowing what to do with it, and like just the character LF, like the way they draw him in with the supernatural element is like I don't know, it's like they couldn't think of anything else to do, how to get him into the story or whatever, or just trying to just be, you know, differentiate itself from a typical mecha anime. So anyway.
Yeah, basically broke it down. Definitely. Yeah, so that's the other problem I personally have with this. Not only do they have a lot of stuff going on, too much, the other problem is what Ricky was saying, which is what we were talking about beforehand, was, yeah, they got a lot of impractical situations going on, and the purpose is to simply move the story along. Like Ricky said, it's kind of like they don't really know how to move the story along, so they got this idea and they want to present it. They want to throw it in, you know, in the story, but they don't know how to do that. So they just kind of push the story, the idea in with some impractical situation. Like, you know, a perfect example of what we were just talking about. You know, the main character gets upset in the first episode. You know, gets really emotional. So he decides, I know where I'm just gonna go inside this giant robot. You know, I'm gonna start piloting, and it doesn't work out for him. And it's like, of course, it's not gonna work out for you. You don't even know anything about giant robots. Like I was comparing it to as if something like very emotional happened to me. So I'm just gonna randomly jump into a fighter jet and just know how to use a fighter jet. Of course, I'm not even gonna know how to open the door to get in the fighter jet. You know, like if I were just to think about operating an airplane, like, okay, forget this. You know, this crazy thing happened. I'm just gonna go in this airplane. I'm gonna start it. and I'm gonna fly. Like that's just not gonna happen, right? And he just and it got, you know, when Ricky broke it down to me, you know, he did have a lot of problems operating it. That made sense at first until he did this thing that, you know, gave him the supernatural ability to use it. But just for the fact that him just getting that far was kind of impractical. But they just wanted, the people who wrote the story, they just wanted him to just get in the robot in general. They could have maybe did something, I don't know, maybe they could have had an explosion and he could have like get blown inside of it. I don't know, do something a little different. You know, have somebody capture him and they don't know where to hold him, so they force him into the robot and they close the door, and then all of a sudden he pushes the accident. I mean, they could do something that makes a little more sense. And then they also got this character LF, like Ricky's saying, and he does all these crazy things that are kind of impractical.
Yeah, he's like this one man soldier or whatever, and he's like able to take out 10,000 guys all by himself and everything. And it's like basically like they put him in this situation where they capture him, and you know he's put into like interrogation, and he escapes, and he escapes, and like it takes like the entire base like 15 minutes to figure out that he's, you know, not there anymore. And like Neil was saying, like, you know, situations like that happen all the time with, you know, prisoners.
Well, they don't have it all the time, but sometimes.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes time. But you know, it's like, you know, this is supposed to be the future and everything, and it's like, I mean, they're in space and everything, and what really makes it impractical, in the span of 15 minutes, this guy he plants bombs. He has enough time to plant bombs everywhere. Gain controls to the airlock and all the doors in that area of the space station, and you know, and like I guess like somehow able to gain full control of like some missiles to shoot all the spaceships outside and blow them up. It's like,
no, it's not like the.
It was cool, but it's like, I mean, you really have to suspend your belief.
Yeah, and also it's not like the character, LF kind of, the archetype is unusual. Like, they're, you know, I just immediately thought, you know, first reaction thinking like, okay, this is basically Jason Bourne from the Bourne Supremacy series, right? Because he does a lot of that stuff. Because, you know, it's the whole, like, this government trained this guy to be like a tool or weapon. So, and of course, I mean, this existed way before the whole Bourne Supremacy. You know, I got stories about people who are able to do these kinds of things, and they're like human weapons, and they are able to fight like 30 people at once and all this stuff. But the problem is, like, with a movie like the Jason Bourne series, those movies, they explain a lot. The writers take the time and explain the intricate details of how he's setting everything up. So in the end, you know, it's this crazy thing that happened, but you kind of like have at least somewhat of a logical step-by-step progression of how it happened, right? With this LF character, he does all this stuff, and there's like absolutely no explanation of how he's doing it. You know, this is one part where he jumps down this whole staircase, and just missiles come out of nowhere. Like, where did these missiles come from? How do you even get control of these missiles? Whose missiles are they? They don't even say that. They need to like take a few, like maybe 1 minute for him to show him finding the missiles, and maybe like hacking into some computer to have access to the missiles, or do something where I can see like a logical step-by-step from this point to this point. I see where you got from here to there. They don't do that a lot in this show. That's another one of its short frames.
Yeah, it's just he's like I don't know. He's like this really. He's like I like him, but it's like he's like just so cool. It's kind of silly. Really, it's like he's like when he gets captured, like after like he gets captured and like the main character's there. He gives him this thing. He tells him like this riddle thing. Is like he says like I'm gonna meet you at 3:14, and comes 3:14. He's like standing right behind him. It's like this is like after he's escaped from the prison, killed all the dudes, and somehow made his way over to the school, and that.
Yeah.
And it's like at the exact time.
Well,
it's like
I know. I mean, that's crazy. But I don't know. I've seen many shows and movies
I'm just
where
saying
the characters do that type of stuff. But it didn't bother me that much. But I can see where you're coming from, though. They just needed better.
I like him because of it, though. But it's like
there are plenty of characters that do that kind of stuff. That's right. I mean, I could just imagine all the Steven Seagal shows where he does exactly the same type of stuff this guy's doing. And of course, that's why you kind of get tired of Steven Seagal's movies after a while, because it's kind of like, all right, this is kind of getting unbelievable. But he does the same stuff. Like Steven Seagal will get like captured, he'll get tied up to a chair, and there'll be like 30 people surrounding him, and they'll interrogate him, and all of a sudden out of nowhere he'll be able to escape and just beat up all the 30 people within a matter of like 3 seconds. You're just like, what the hell? How could one man do that? Well, he's Steven Seagal. That's how he's able to do it. That's kind of like where the LF kind of thing is. I'm seeing that's where that's coming from. That whole archetype, that superhuman weapon type of archetype is coming from. I think better writing would have made him made the story a lot better, or just the show better.
Yeah, it's just like the episodes in general are kind of rushed. They're really packed.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like at the end of the episode, it's like it's kind of hard to believe like everything that just happened in the span of like one episode.
Yeah. In that way, it's kind of like 24, where
24 is like they have like hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but yeah, hour is pretty short for.
I never seen 24. So.
You should watch 24. It's the same thing. It's like all this stuff is happening. It's like this crazy amount of stuff happening, and it's the thing that makes 24 really supposed to be popular because it's in real time. It's like this actually all happened in 1 hour. It's supposed to be like, that's why they call it 24. Now I think about it, that doesn't make any sense because 24 hours is a day. But everything's supposed to be happening in this 1 hour. But so I just say like what I'm saying is like this type of stuff isn't unusual. A lot of shows do it. It's just that the way they executed it was not really, in this particular show, Valvrave the Liberator, they didn't execute that whole over the top, lots of things going on, craziness, human government weapons type of things going on. They didn't execute it as well as some other shows do. But again, I want to fall back to the point that maybe they were just afraid because they're like, we don't want to make another generic mech show. We need to throw in some more stuff to separate us from the pack. But sometimes when you do that, you can fall into a trap where it's like, you kind of alienate people, viewers. Like, okay, this is a little, I was into it, but now I'm not. That's what happened to me. I'm into mech, not really into supernatural stuff. I do like over the top stuff, but when it's so over the top, it becomes kind of impractical or kind of unbelievable. I mean, there's a difference between being realistic and being believable. You don't have to be realistic, but you could be believable. This is just a lot of stuff is even unbelievable. So I would not watch it. It's not a bad show. It's an okay show. I can see people liking it, but yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. Even though I'm a mech fan, just not the other elements they throw in there just kind of threw me off.
I would continue watching it because I don't really mind the supernatural stuff. It just does seem like just like a convenient plot device just to add tension and whatnot. But the action's pretty good, and I mean the characters are like LF is pretty cool. I like him, and he's pretty much being set up as this anti-hero or whatever. He's pretty much gonna be there a lot. So, and yeah, apparently like going from the OP, there's gonna be more Valvraves or whatever. So. That might be cool. And yeah, and it's like only like 12 episodes so far right now. I think there's like going to be a second season in October. But there's only like 12 seasons so far, so if you want to catch up, it'll be easy.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're not tripping about story, like I don't care how impractical practice, I just want to see action. If you were just a man or a girl who just wants to see action, then yeah, this is definitely where you want to go, because it's actually, this show has a lot of action in it, more than most shows, I think, most animes. So yeah, if you're like really into the action thing, then yeah, this is something that you wanted to check out for sure, I think. Because I do know a lot of people who are like, story, I don't care about story, I just want to see robots blow up. People get shot at, all that stuff. But then they do have some romance in there. They do have some good character. There is some character development in here. So there's even if you're into the story, there's something for you. But I think if you're somebody who wants a believable story, then this is something you want to stay away from. But that's it for Valvrave the Liberator. Check us out. This is Anime Splash. Feel free to comment. Say anything you want. It's all up to you. Or don't say anything at all. It's all good. Whatever you want to do. We do have a Facebook. Check that out if you want. Comment, like us. It's all up to you. But thanks for watching. This is Anime Splash.